everyone, and welcome to Daily Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSikho. So today we will discuss two articles. The first article is from the Hindu newspaper, which is titled as "Breaking the Cycle of Child Labor is in India's Hands." So this talks about the increased problem of child labor in the country after the COVID-19 pandemic and what has been the latest scenario and what are the possible solutions has been discussed in this article. The second one is from the Indian Express, which is titled as Treating the Hidden Pandemic. So this talks about another level problem of non-communicable diseases which still remain to be more fatal as compared to the communicable diseases like the COVID-19. So what are these and what are the solutions and issues attached with this has been discussed in this article. This newspaper analysis is presented to you by me. My name is Sheva Khan and I am a law graduate and had completed my BA LLB law degree in the year 2019, and I have been a batch gold medalist. I have been a national debater as well as a public speaker, and here at LawSikho, I work as current affairs expert and manager for free content and outreach. If you wish to connect with me, you can always find me on my Twitter as well as LinkedIn handles. The links to both are available in the description. So this is the multiple choice question from yesterday's discussion. China's one-child policy was imposed in the year. Your options are 1980, 2000, 2014, or 2016. If you know the answer, you can put it down in the comment section below. Also, there is a small announcement that for the news and flash column, which earlier used to be the part of the same newspaper analysis, now a more exhaustive and a more elaborate news and flash is available on both channels of LawSikho, that is LawSikho Judiciary Prep as well as LawSikho CLAT Prep. So please make sure that you have subscribed the channels and you're watching the news and flash, which is an even better version in itself. And this is a descriptive question from today's discussion. What do you understand by the child labor? What legal safeguards do we have in India to stop child labor? Let's start our discussion for the day, which talks about the cycle of child labor in India. So the article very clearly puts out that the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on child labor would be significant as they are unable to attend schools in the first place and their parents are unable to find work. So there are two basic reasons or the most significant reasons that have increased the chances of increasing the child labor cases in the country as well. Firstly, the schools have been shut down. So earlier, the children who used to go to the schools now definitely are not able to go to schools as they're shut down. And of course, when the education has moved towards the digital and online platforms, definitely they're not able to afford a lot of such services like a smartphone, laptop, other devices, internet connection, etc. And the other reason is that their parents, many of them, most of them basically being in the informal sector, have had this issue of losing their jobs, due to which there has been a problem of income in the family, and thus the entire family now needs to work, including the children, which would ultimately push a greater number of children towards the turmoil of the child labor. Now let's understand that what have been the challenges in the education per se when we talk about the COVID-19 pandemic in India as well as at the global sphere. So there has been a closure of schools and challenges are there in respect to the distant learning. So there has been a dropout with little scope for return, and there has been a digital divide which all of us have to acknowledge, which exists in the online education. So in 2017 and 18, only 24% of Indian households had internet access. So we can understand that even just in 17-18, there were only 24% of Indian households, and that were not even individuals, rather the households that had internet connection. So now just imagine that when the education has been shifted completely to the digital mode of education, what small number of students would only be able to avail these classes, and other definitely are being pushed towards the brunt of child labor. And also when we talk about the school dropout with minimal or very little scope of return, it has been even worse for the girl students or for the female students, because already in India, thanks to this issue of patriarchy and wherein we have other such social evils like early marriages, or child marriages and other kinds of female feticides, etc., wherein the female child hardly is able to reach the schools. And now in this situation, when the students had to drop out of the school, it is rarely and it is very unlikely that the girl student would be able to continue again with the schooling, keeping in mind the economic crunch that COVID-19 has left upon various families in the country. Second, they are facing the challenges like there is need for the right mix of policy and programmatic interventions. So obviously there needs to be political will, and definitely there are a lot of skills and there are a lot of other schemes that are working in this direction to bring down the child labor. Like we have the pencil portal, which was there by the Ministry of Labor, which actually was an online portal to provide various kinds of information, lot of other guidelines and other complaint registration program and other things which through which we could learn about the child labor, etc. So it is one of the policies, but still there needs to be better implementation of these policies in order to make the right beneficiaries to be benefited by the exact things that actually are being proposed or being promised by these schemes. So then we have the strategic partnership and collaborations among the government, employers, trade unions, community-based organizations, and child labor families. So definitely it is not just the government or just the children or just their families that can actually resolve this issue of increasing child labor. Rather, there needs to be a collaborated and a strategic partnership and altogether movement amongst the government, the employers, the trade unions, community based organizations, and of course, the families that inculcate their children into child labor, that they all should come together and should understand that child labor is hampering the future of not only that child, but also the nation as a whole. So, definitely, everyone needs to be aware and everyone needs to understand the dire impact that child labor is causing on the entire system of the society. So the United Nations has declared 2021 as the International Year for Elimination of Child Labor, specifically keeping in mind the increased cases of child labor after the COVID-19 pandemic. So if we consider about the relevant data that we have, currently around 152 million are still in child labor, and that too, out of them, 73 million are in hazardous work. By hazardous work, we mean that such factories that could be producing the fireworks, other factories that may include some chemicals, etc. And it is really, really disheartening to know that 152 million children are still under the impact of child labor, and out of them, 73 million are engaged in hazardous nature of work. Also, the Government of India survey, the NSS survey of 2017-18 provided that only about 79.6% of the age of 14 to 17 are in schools, either formally or informally, and other all, that is approximately 20%, never even have reached the school. And according to the Census of India of 2011, 10.1 million children, working children in the age group of 5 to 14, and out of whom 8.1 million in the rural areas are engaged as cultivators and agricultural laborers. So whatever, how much it's just pointless that how much we develop the society, or we think that we are providing the education and other facilities to the children of our nation, but we need to acknowledge and we cannot really close our eyes upon the facts of these that we have just studied, wherein so many children in India are still engaged into child labor. So if we talk about the pattern of child labor in India, so the child labor in India has decreased in the year from the time period of 2001 to 2011. So definitely these 10 years were a time period wherein there was good amount or significant decrease in the child labor in the country. But after the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been a sudden hike, and there will be indeed sudden hike after the lockdowns are relaxed, and thus greater numbers of child labor would be witnessed. So if we talk about various good interventions or steps that were taken by the government, definitely we have the Manrega. Now, how Manrega? Because Manrega was able, and it is still, very much promising when it comes to providing employment to the parents of these children. And once definitely their families can be brought into this, and their families can be given good employment, then there are lesser chances that the children would be also employed in any kind of labor. And that is why Manrega has played a very important role in this direction. Then we have the RTE Act, which is the Right to Education Act under Article 21A of the Indian Constitution, which promises free and compulsory education to the children from the age group of 6 to 14 years, which ultimately gives a chance to the parents and also to these children to get themselves enrolled into the schools and avail education instead of working as child laborers. And also we have the midday meal schemes. Obviously we all know that the midday meal scheme has been very much successful in attracting the students to come to the schools, and this has resolved not only the problem of child labor, rather it has also imparted good levels of nutrition amongst the children, which another is another problem in the country. And then there are the government portals, which one of which we just discussed. One was the Pencil portal, which was brought by the Ministry of Labor to coordinate in about the information of child labor at all the levels. And then we have the Child Labor Project as well, which works in direction to eradicate the child labor. With this, let's discuss the second article of the day, which talks about COVID-19 and non-communicable disease mortality. So here the article projects that despite the spike in the cases of COVID-19, the average COVID patient in India faces 50% less risk of mortality, which is 1.16% as compared to the global average of 2.17%. So here the article is pointing out that though COVID is a communicable disease, and definitely the people who are catching the COVID virus are very huge in number as compared to other non-communicable diseases. But yet, if we talk about the rate of mortality or the risk of mortality, that is the risk of death, it is still, of course, it is huge, but it is still 50% lesser as compared to the other global average. And over 70% of the mortalities are associated with COVID are due to underlying non-communicable diseases. Now, if you remember, in our previous sessions also, we discussed about various comorbidities, and even when we were discussing about the problem of mucormycosis, which was the black fungus disease, so that also had pointed out that people who are suffering from other comorbidities, and specifically if they were suffering from sugar, so it was observed, or the diabetes, it was observed that they were at a greater risk of catching the problem of or facing the problem of black fungus as compared to an average other COVID patient who did not have any other comorbidity like cancer, heart ailment, cardiac issues, or maybe the diabetes as well. And that is why this article points out that over 70% of the deaths or mortalities are associated with the COVID are due to the underlying non-communicable diseases. So the people who already had some of the other kinds of non-communicable diseases or the NCDs were subjected to a greater risk of death or mortality as compared to the people who were generally suffering from COVID-19 but did not have any kind of non-communicable disease. So India's NCD rate is at 558 per 1 lakh population, is less than its neighboring countries. Though we are at a better situation as compared to our neighboring countries, but still a lot of people in India suffer from these non-communicable diseases or these comorbidities to say per se, like we have discussed, the heart ailment, cancer, sugar, that is diabetes, etc. So the study has been led by the by Defeat NCD team, wherein it was pointed out that 10% decline has been there in the underlying NCD mortality leads to 20% decline in the COVID fatality rates. So in a way, it says that the decline in the number of the non-communicable diseases cases is directly proportional to the decline in the COVID deaths as well, which means that lesser the number with NCDs catch the COVID virus, lesser are the chances of any kinds of mortality. So after factoring in variables such as the demographics and public health expenditure, and also they have also said that the declining mortality rates is an indicator that the society is becoming healthier. So in a way, if we understand now, as we see that even after the second wave of the COVID-19, now as per the current data available, some deaths of the COVID have been declined. So though the positivity rate remains quite high, but still the mortality rate has shrunk down a little bit, which in a way gives us a signal that perhaps the nation has become a bit healthier, because probably the cases of the non-communicable diseases have also decreased, due to which the deaths due to COVID-19 have also decreased. So that is why this is considered to be as a hidden war under the COVID-19. And we need to understand that it's just not the virus that is causing the deaths. Rather, the other issues that we already had makes us more vulnerable towards this virus. So let's discuss about India's non-communicable diseases strategy, or the NCD strategy. So we have the NCD action plan, which is implemented to achieve 25% reduction in premature mortalities due to the NCD by 2025. And then we have the Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat scheme, which puts out to invest 64,000 crores in setting up 17,800 rural and 11,000 urban health and wellness centers, and about 602 critical care hospitals in districts and associated chain of laboratories and virology centers. So it also says that India will be there to provide financial protection to nearly 100 million people under this scheme, and it has expanded the scope of primary healthcare system to include the screening and the diagnosis of the NCD, like cancer and respiratory diseases. So now the diagnosis is one of the most important factors, because data has many times revealed that why people have been facing these non-communicable diseases at severe levels. The reason, one of the primary reasons, is that the diagnosis cannot be done at the right time, and definitely due to the lack of resources in the primary healthcare systems, people are not able to diagnose their problems in the right time, due to which they have to face a greater brunt of these problems in the future. And now this Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat scheme has expanded the scope of primary healthcare system, because now it will include the screening and diagnosis of these non-communicable diseases like cancer and other respiratory diseases like tuberculosis. And then we have the PM Ujjwala Yojana, which reduced the risk of chronic lung diseases and cancer that women are exposed to, because definitely due to the kind of fuel, or due to the biofuel that they used to use in their homes, like the firewood, etc., caused the emission of those gases, which ultimately hit very hard on their lungs and used to cause a lot of lung diseases and other kinds of respiratory diseases. And now, thanks to the PM Ujjwala Yojana, wherein the cylinders are provided at great subsidy to every household in the country, due to which clean fuel has been provided, wherein it has actually impacted positively in the health of the women specifically. So this was all for the day. We hope it was a good session for you. Thank you so much for staying tuned with Law Seekho. Please consider subscribing the channels for such more updates to come.